Giesswein Woolen Slippers. Would I buy another pair? Probably not. Watch to find out why. I really wanted to love these slippers. Made of wool with a natural rubber sole in Europe, in Austria specifically. That ticks a lot of boxes from a sustainability standpoint. Firstly, the things I do like. They're pretty comfortable to wear, as in the fit's good, they're nice and light. As I've mentioned, the materials are natural and sustainable, which is great from the perspective of putting less plastic into the environment. I also think they look good. Again, design and style is a personal thing, but I like the look of them. They're pretty sleek, they look pretty funky. However, now we get to the reasons why I'd struggle to recommend these. And the first is simply robustness. These are not cheap, at over £50 for a pair. And the reality is I've had a couple of years of use out of these, only really in the colder months, and we've got problems. First big one here is massive hole in the bottom. You have this thin natural rubber sole. I do wear these mostly inside. I very rarely wear them outside, maybe only taking the bins out, and getting a few logs in from the porch. But actually we've worn through these very quickly, which is disappointing for something that is only a few years old. I also have a hole in the toe here on this one, so again, not something I would expect in such an expensive slipper. For reference, my previous pair of slippers were a sheepskin pair, and I think I got 13-14 years out of those as functional slippers, and that is pretty much written off. I do put a little felt insole to try and eke a little bit more life out of it. I think part of the problem is with this sort of rubber painted sole, it is really just a thin painted rubber layer, and therefore not very robust. Now they do offer a couple of variants with a much thicker rubber sole, and maybe those would represent a better buy ultimately. Or maybe being super strict of never putting the bins out with them, only using them on smooth inside flooring. Maybe that's the way forward. Maybe, I don't know, maybe carpeted flooring also wears it more. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I just don't, this clearly isn't durable enough for my purposes. Next problem is quite simply warmth. Now, you're kind of led to believe that these felted wool slippers are going to be super warm. And the reality is, I actually get pretty cold feet in them, which is obviously a bit of a fatal flaw. If I wear socks, they're actually reasonably warm, but with bare feet on a cool winter's day inside, I actually just don't find them very warm, certainly not compared to sheepskin slippers. Now, is it unreasonable to expect a pair of, predominantly cloth shoes with a light rubber coating to last that long? Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, as I say, they are expensive slippers, and I would want more than a couple of years out of them. If you're happy that 2 to 3 years is sufficient, then maybe there would be a good buy for you. But again, as I say, I would struggle to justify buying another pair. So all in all, it's a bit of a 6 out of 10 product for me. I think they're not a bad product, but in this particular model, they just don't last long enough. They're just not robust enough, and they're just not warm enough for me to recommend them.